So this really caught my attention. Now, none of this is actually confirmed, it's not set in stone, so take everything what I'm about to discuss with you with a huge grain of salt, guys. So apparently, there's a Wolverine Anthology series that's in early development for Disney Plus at Marvel Studios, and I have a lot of things to say about this. First off, I want to start off by saying that this is a very great idea for a few reasons, but before I get into that, I want you guys to go ahead and subscribe to my channel, where you can get the latest in comic book related content such as movies, games, comics, you name it. We talk about Marvel, DC, games, all of it's there on my channel. You can definitely check out my channel when you get a chance. We can start binging all the videos if you've missed some. Click on the bell notification if you haven't done so already, so that way you can stay up to date with the latest. On the daily, I upload videos on the daily, of course, and I do live streams at least twice a week, Tuesdays and Sundays, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And join my Discord. The invitation link to that is down in the description box below, where you can interact with a lot of individuals who are into the same kind of geeky stuff as you are. So, with all that being said, let's go ahead and get back to the article. So, Wolverine is a character that we all know and love from Marvel Comics, and it was played brilliantly by Hugh Jackman himself, the only man, as many would claim, that he should be the only man to have played Wolverine and nobody else can replace him. Well, I can argue that for a couple reasons. One, personally me, I wouldn't mind seeing a different interpretation of the character from the comics. I would actually like to see a different interpretation, perhaps another actor, a newly young actor, as Hugh Jackman was when he first got cast as the character Wolverine, because Hugh Jackman was once a nobody actor, but you can argue that this character, when he was cast for this character, it really blew up his career, and people knew him to be the Wolverine. Phenomenal actor. So I think right about now it's time to discuss who should be the next Wolverine, and I have an idea who should be the next one. This is my personal opinion. If you guys have better candidates that can be Wolverine, post your comments down below. Anyways, let's go ahead and read this article from that#show.com. Here talking about how the Wolverine Anthology series could hit Disney Plus. Now, I'm thinking that this series can probably hit as early as 2023, mid-23, before we even get a Mutant series or an X-Men movies, because I think the Wolverine should debut in his own series, and it's a brilliant idea for several reasons. So, this week, we're going to be talking mutants, specifically and arguably the most popular mutant of all, Wolverine. So I'm going to address this before we move forward, since I know most of you are wondering this. Have they cast Wolverine in the MCU? No, not yet. However, we can exclusively share that Marvel is in early development on a series for Disney Plus. This series would be an anthology series based on the characters of the Wolverine. Since Wolverine is immortal and has a multitude of stories to tell, each season will focus on a particular story within the Wolverine mythos. Think like American Horror Story, where there's a season-long plot and then it's resets. Only in this, you'll have the center of Wolverine. So Wolverine Through the Ages on Disney Plus is a phenomenal idea, and I have ideas of where it could be placed. These seasons can be placed throughout the Marvel Cinematic Universe timeline, and if you go here, and I have my Disney Plus account right here, it's broken down for you. Now, you can watch the movies in the order of release of like phases, but I think the ideal, the quintessential way of watching these movies is the Marvel Cinematic Universe in its timeline order, starting with Captain America, Captain Marvel, and then Iron Man, of course. Iron Man did kick off the MCU, but if you start with Captain America, it just makes the MCU that much better. So recently I rewatched the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, almost all 23 of them. I actually had stopped there because I'm actually binge watching them with my girlfriend. So I had stopped right around Ant-Man and the Wasp. So we're going to actually watch that soon. But moving forward, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has to be watched in this timeline. And I'm thinking that the Wolverine Anthology series, starting with season 1, if I had to speculate, it'd be placed right after Captain America: The First Avenger. So you go on with Captain America: The First Avenger, and then perhaps maybe 6 to 8 episodes of the Wolverine season 1 will take place shortly after World War II. So right after Captain America hits the ice, or perhaps if Chris Evans feels like it, he can actually come back into the role and do some scenes with Wolverine. And then Wolverine just disappears for no reason, and perhaps season 2 will take place during the events of the Avengers or after the events of the Avengers. And we'll kind of get a breakdown as to why Wolverine never appeared during these movies, or at least in between these films. And we'll have a better understanding. So I'm pretty sure they're going to have to like at least fabricate some sort of a story as to why he couldn't really appear. But we all know the reason. At the time that these movies were getting released, all the X-Men movies were actually coming out too. So it was actually under Fox Studios ever since the Disney Fox deal. Really, those properties now became Disney properties. So I think with the Wolverine Anthology series, it can continue to move on, and those seasons will be placed in between these films, and we can actually take a break from actually watching the films and watch those seasons, and it'll be a lot of fun. I mean, WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier have already kicked off the series on Disney Plus, and WandaVision was great. So far, The Falcon and Winter Soldier is the superior show to WandaVision. I really enjoyed WandaVision, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't anything in the epic scale, such as, let's say, Avengers Endgame or Infinity War. So I think if Wolverine comes out, especially an anthology series based on like the stories that center around Wolverine, it could really like beat these two shows, The Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision. Arguably so, Wolverine is one of the most popular Marvel characters in comic book history. And I think it's a brilliant idea to come up with an anthology series for the character of Wolverine. So getting back to the article, Marvel and Kevin Feige have been hard at work on approach to the mutants and the X-Men characters. They have the challenge of bringing a huge assortment of characters to screen in a way that is both entertaining, but also natural and seamless. My source tells me that for the longest time, Wolverine has the hardest of these characters as he's one with a huge host of stories. But Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige are confident and that an anthology series can safely explore Wolverine's vast history without affecting any role that he would have in an X-Men film. While this allows Marvel the creative license to explore stories like Old Man Logan, Enemy of the State, and of course the famous Japan storyline, I've learned that while early in development, Marvel is aiming to adapt the famous Weapon X story arc for the first season. And not too much else is known other than this will cover Wolverine's origin story, his time in the Weapon X program, and ultimately what shapes him into Wolverine. Since this will now be set in the MCU, expect references and allusions to other MCU projects. At this early in development, this is the writing phase, so no cast and no director or showrunner has been chosen, although the search for all is underway. Marvel is hoping to have something announced this year sometime. For more on Marvel, make sure to check back at that hashtag show. So definitely really exciting stuff when I saw this article, and I got to give credit where credit is due, but if you ever follow Everything Always, phenomenal YouTube channel, I saw this and I'm like thinking, this will be really interesting to talk about. Wolverine's one of my favorite characters of all time. Not a big fan of the X-Men in general, but just Wolverine the character. There's just so much backstory to this character that makes him so, I guess, appealing and very intriguing overall. A very, very appealing character, you know, with a difficult past, very tough, very brooding character that, you know, people can relate to. This guy's got it all, man. He's got it hard. You know, he's had his funny moments, and he's had amazing interactions with some of my other favorite characters, such as Spider-Man and the Avengers and other X-Men characters that I like Nightcrawler, for example. The guy is awesome. Now, as to who should be cast as the character of Wolverine, well, I actually had an idea, and I think Taryn Erickson should be cast. Now, if you're going to go into an anthology series featuring the Wolverine, you have to cast an actor who's relatively young, you know, who still has time, who could possibly put in at least 15 plus years into the character, such as Hugh Jackman, who played the character for almost 20 years. So I think Taryn Erickson, only at 31 years old, young, so he should be cast as the character. I think he looks the part. He's actually kind of close to the height of the Wolverine character, believe it or not. He's 5'4" in Wolverine. Taryn Erickson is 5'9". I'm a 5'9" guy. I don't really consider myself to be a very tall person, but I'm not saying I want to be the Wolverine. Hashtag Ronnie should be the Wolverine, but no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just messing around, so don't even listen to me. Taryn Erickson, you know, he's a relatively young guy. He has some acting chops under his belt. He's played phenomenal roles. He was in The Kingsman. He even played Elton John in that movie that came out recently that I really enjoyed. The guy has, you know, he has range, but although I think the actor doubts himself, he doubts that he can play a character such as the Wolverine, a very difficult character with a lot of background, with a lot of story. But I think if people were to give him a shot, I mean, he can easily bulk up and become the character, and I think he can easily look the part. But I don't think Hugh Jackman is willing to return to this role. He's already past that age, doesn't have that much energy, and the guy really wants to eat bread. So aside from that, what are your thoughts? My thoughts is that I think Taryn Erickson should be playing the role of the Wolverine. Now, some other people have said Karl Urban can play the character, but he's already played a character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He was Scourge in Thor Ragnarok, so I don't think he can return to play a character such as the Wolverine, although a very good choice because Karl Urban has got that scruffy, tough guy look. But I think Taryn Erickson will be phenomenal in that role. So you let me know your thoughts. If you think somebody else could play the Wolverine even better than what I, had in mind, you comment down below. And overall, what are your thoughts about a Wolverine Anthology series? To me, I think it makes sense. A character as complicated as the Wolverine totally deserves an anthology series and totally deserves multiple episodes because this is a character that needs to be explored. Anyways, that's it for tonight. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click on bell notifications so you all don't miss anything. And as always, I will see you all in the next comic panel.